You're in a dimly lit bar on a Friday night, the kind of place where the air smells like whiskey and regret. Your eyes meet hers across the room, dark hair, sharper smile, the kind of woman who doesn't just walk into your life, she storms it. Your heart slams against your ribs. You've tried the nice guy lines before, the compliments, the jokes. They all ended the same way. You're sweet, but let's just be friends. Tonight is different, because tonight you're not you anymore. You're carrying a secret weapon forged in the blood-soaked streets of 16th century Florence, a weapon sharper than any pickup line, deadlier than any Jim Bro confidence hack. It's the mind of Niccolò Machiavelli, the man who taught princes how to seize kingdoms with nothing but words, timing, and iron will. And you're about to use it to seize her mind. Not with force, never with force. Machiavelli taught that brute strength is for fools. The real conqueror wins by deception, by appearing exactly what she wants while steering her thoughts like a ship in a storm. By the end of this conversation, she'll be the one chasing your approval. She'll replay your words in her head at 3 a.m. She'll wonder why she can't stop thinking about you. This isn't fantasy. This is power. Raw, unfiltered, Machiavellian power, applied to the one battlefield every man enters, but few ever master, talking to women. Let me introduce you to Marcus. Marcus was just like you once, 28, decent job in tech, decent face, decent everything. The kind of guy women called reliable, which, as we all know, is code for invisible. He'd scroll through dating apps until his thumb went numb, send messages that got polite one-word replies, and wake up wondering why the spark never caught. One night, after another ghosting that left him staring at the ceiling, he did what desperate men do. He wandered into an old bookstore downtown, the kind with dust on the shelves and no Instagram filter. There, wedged between forgotten history books, was a small leather volume, no flashy cover, just gold lettering that had faded. Il Principe, The Prince, by Niccolò Machiavelli. He almost put it back, but something in the first line hooked him like a fish. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Marcus bought it for $5 and a suspicious look from the old clerk. That night he cracked it open under a single lamp, expecting dusty politics. What he got was a mirror to his soul and a roadmap to domination. The words hit like lightning. Men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. Marcus leaned back. Women weren't different, the book seemed to whisper. They were human, predictable in their unpredictability, driven by desire, fear, status, and the thrill of the chase. And the man who understood that, who mastered appearances while controlling the unseen, could bend reality itself. He didn't sleep that night. By dawn, Marcus wasn't just reading Machiavelli, he was becoming him. Fast forward 2 weeks, Marcus is at a rooftop party. The city lights glitter below like scattered diamonds. She's there, Elena, a marketing executive with legs that could start wars and a laugh that made lesser men stutter. Every guy in the room is orbiting her like planets around a sun. Marcus used to be one of them. Not tonight. He waits, not out of nervousness, out of calculation. Machiavelli taught that timing is everything. Rush in like a lion and you look desperate. Strike like a fox and you own the moment. He approaches casually, drink in hand, posture relaxed but eyes locked on hers with quiet intensity. No cheesy opener, no, "Hey, you come here often?" Instead, you look like someone who's bored with the same old script everyone else is reading. Elena tilts her head, intrigued already. Most men compliment her looks. This one challenged her mind. She smiles. "And what script is that?" Marcus doesn't answer directly. He leans in just enough for his voice to cut through the music. Low, steady, controlled. The one where they tell you you're beautiful and hope that's enough. But beauty is common. What isn't common is a woman who knows her own power and still wants to be surprised by someone who sees through it. Boom!
He's planted the seed. Machiavelli's first rule: everyone sees what you appear to be, few know what you really are. Marcus appears confident, insightful, a little dangerous. Not the nice guy, not the player, something better, a man who understands her. She laughs, but it's not polite, it's real. "You're bold." "I'm honest," he replies, eyes never leaving hers. "Most men lie to impress you. I don't need to. The truth is more interesting." He doesn't flood her with questions about her job or hobbies. That's what everyone does. Instead, he tells a short story, pulled straight from Machiavelli's own life in Florence, but twisted for the moment. Centuries ago, a man named Cesare Borgia took a city by storm, not with armies at first, but with one dinner. He invited his rivals, smiled, poured the wine, and when they let their guard down, he ended them. Not because he was stronger, because he made them feel safe. Then he struck with precision. Elena raised an eyebrow. "Dark story for a party." Marcus shrugged. "Life is dark sometimes. The point is, real power isn't loud. It's the quiet moment when someone realizes they've already lost control, and they liked it." He's not threatening her. He's framing the conversation as a game only the two of them understand. Her mind is already racing. Who is this guy? Why does he feel different? This is the fox at work, deception without lies. He seems deep, philosophical, a little ruthless, exactly what Machiavelli prescribed. Appear merciful, appear honest, appear compassionate, but be ready to be none of those when the moment demands. Elena is hooked. She leans closer. "So what would your version of that dinner look like?" Marcus smiles slowly, the lion peeking through. "It would start with excellent wine and end with you telling me your real secrets, the ones you don't share with the safe guys." She bites her lip. Game on. Over the next hour, Marcus doesn't chase, he leads. He asks questions that force her to reveal herself while giving almost nothing back. What scares you more, being wanted for the wrong reasons or not being wanted at all? When she answers, he doesn't validate, he challenges lightly. "Interesting. Most women say the opposite, but you're not most women, are you?" Every word is calculated. He drops compliments like rare gems, never too many, always tied to her mind or choices, never just her looks. "The way you talk about your work, it's like you already run the room without trying. That's rare." Machiavelli's fortune as a woman lesson echoes in his head. Fortune is a woman, and if you want to keep her under, it is necessary to beat and strike her. Not literally, of course, but boldly, impetuously. Take control when others hesitate. Elena starts texting her friends less. She's fully present. Her eyes linger. When the party winds down, she touches his arm. "We should continue this conversation sometime." Marcus doesn't jump. He pauses, just long enough to create tension. Maybe, but only if you're ready for where it goes. He walks away first. That night, she messages him first. Marcus stares at the screen, heart steady now. The book had worked. Not magic, strategy. He had dominated the conversation by dominating the frame, making her chase the mystery he created. But that was just the beginning. Over the following months, Marcus's life became a living laboratory for Machiavellian seduction. Every date, every bar, every late-night call was another chapter in his transformation. He tested the principles relentlessly, refining them for the modern world, where women aren't princesses in towers, they're CEOs, influencers, artists with options. He learned the power of scarcity. Machiavelli warned that too much generosity breeds contempt, so Marcus became unavailable at exactly the right moments. After a heated conversation where Elena opened up about her fears, he vanished for 2 days. No explanation. When he reappeared, her first message was, "Where have you been? I was thinking about what you said." Marcus replied simply, "Handling things that matter, but I'm here now." Short, controlled. It created the fear of loss, the subtle dread that he might slip away. Not love, not yet. Fear mixed with fascination. Exactly as the master advised. Better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. He mastered appearances. In public, he was charming, attentive, the perfect gentleman. He listened like no one else, mirroring her posture, echoing her words subtly, making her feel truly seen. But in private texts or late calls, he revealed the edge, a hint of darkness, a story about a rival he handled at work with quiet ruthlessness. She ate it up, because deep down, as Machiavelli knew, people crave strength. They want to feel protected by someone who could destroy them, but chooses not to. One night, things got real with a woman named Sophia, a fiery artist who had rejected half the city. Marcus met her at a gallery opening. Instead of complimenting her paintings, what every other guy did, he studied one canvas and said, "This one, it's angry, but not at the world, at yourself for holding back. Am I wrong?" She froze, then laughed, genuinely shocked. "How did you—" He didn't let her finish. "Because I see what you appear to be, and I suspect very few people see what you really are." Boom, direct from the book.
"You've turned down every man here tonight," he said, voice low, "including the ones who think they're smooth." She smirked. "And you think you're different?" "No, I know I am." He held her gaze. "Because while they're offering you drinks and flattery, I'm offering you something they can't, a conversation where you don't have to pretend to be in control." She laughed. "Bold claim?" "Test me," he replied. She did, for 2 hours, and by the end she was the one suggesting they leave together. Not because he chased, because he made her chase the feeling he created, the thrill of being mentally dominated by someone who understood the game better than she did. Marcus didn't sleep with all of them. That wasn't the point. The domination wasn't physical first, it was mental. He left them thinking about him, obsessing, wondering, exactly as the deceiver in Machiavelli's world always did. Years passed in this new life. Marcus transformed from the invisible nice guy into the man women couldn't forget. His phone buzzed with messages from women he hadn't contacted in weeks. "Hey, been thinking about that thing you said." Colleagues noticed. Friends asked for advice. He gave it sparingly, because sharing power dilutes it. But the deepest lesson came on a quiet night alone, rereading the book one last time. Machiavelli wasn't cruel for cruelty's sake. He was a realist. He saw humans as they are, flawed, ambitious, hungry, women included. And the man who accepts that truth, who wields words like a prince wields a sword, doesn't just talk to women, he owns their thoughts. Marcus closed the book and smiled into the darkness. The next morning, he woke up to 3 new messages. One from Elena, "Can't stop thinking about you." One from Sophia, "When are you free?" One from Isabella, "Miss our debates." He replied to none immediately. Let the tension build. Let their minds do the work. Because that's the final secret, the one Machiavelli saved for those who truly understood. True domination isn't loud conquest. It's the silence after your words sink in. The moment she realizes she's already yours, and she doesn't want to escape. You, watching this right now, yes, you, have that power inside you, too. The book is waiting. The principles are timeless. Start small. Next conversation, don't compliment, challenge. Don't chase, lead. Don't be predictable. Be the storm she never saw coming. Fortune is a woman. Strike boldly, and watch her mind bend to yours. The end? No. This is just the beginning of your reign. The rooftop party faded into memory, but Marcus's transformation had only just begun. That single conversation with Elena was the spark. Machiavelli's words weren't theory anymore. They were weapons he carried in his pocket, sharp and ready. Over the next year, Marcus turned his life into a private academy of seduction, testing every principle the old Florentine had laid down in blood and ink. He didn't chase women for notches on a bedpost. He chased mastery. He wanted their minds to bend the way a prince bends a city, willingly, hungrily, without ever realizing the strings were being pulled.
He started with the first and most ruthless law. Appearances are everything. Reality is for the weak. Machiavelli had it written plain in The Prince. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Marcus stopped trying to be the authentic nice guy. Authenticity, he learned, was a trap for losers. Instead, he crafted an appearance that was magnetic, slightly dangerous, utterly in control. He dressed sharper, not flashy, but tailored in a way that suggested quiet power. He moved slower, spoke lower, let silences stretch until the woman filled them herself. The effect was immediate. Take the night he met Lena at a jazz club downtown. She was the kind of woman that men made nervous, sharp cheekbones, sharper tongue, a corporate lawyer who ate egos for breakfast. Marcus didn't open with a compliment. He ordered his drink, leaned against the bar 2 feet away, and waited until her eyes flicked toward him. Then he said, almost offhand, "You look like someone who wins arguments for a living and still goes home wondering if anyone ever wins against you." She turned fully, eyebrow arched. "That's a hell of an assumption." Marcus smiled, the small, knowing smile he had practiced in the mirror. "It's not an assumption, it's an observation. Most men here are trying to impress you. I'm not. I'm wondering what it feels like when you finally meet someone who doesn't flinch." He held her gaze a beat too long. She laughed, but the laugh had an edge of surprise. Marcus had just done what Machiavelli demanded. He appeared insightful, unflackable, a man who saw through masks. In truth, his heart was steady because he had rehearsed this exact frame 100 times. He wasn't guessing her life. He was projecting the image of a man who already understood it. By the end of the night, she was the one asking questions, leaning in, touching his forearm like she needed to confirm he was real. When she suggested they leave together, Marcus shook his head once, slow and deliberate. "Not tonight. I want you thinking about that question until you can't sleep." He walked away first. Her text at 2:17 a.m. read, "Still thinking." That was the second principle burning in his veins. Scarcity creates hunger. Machiavelli never said it in those words, but he lived it. Generosity, he warned, breeds contempt. Give too much, and people stop valuing it. Marcus turned that into seduction gold. He became a master of the measured dose. A deep conversation one night, radio silence for 48 hours the next. A voice note that ended mid-sentence on purpose. A compliment so precise it felt like a scalpel, then nothing for days. Women who had ghosted him in his old life now chased. Sophia, the fiery artist, once sent him 3 messages in a row after he left her on read. "You disappear and my brain won't shut up. What are you doing to me?" Marcus read them in his apartment, the leather copy of The Prince open on the table, and smiled. He replied with 6 words, "Handling what matters. Miss the tension?" The reply came in seconds. She did. But the real art came when he layered in the fox and the lion, Machiavelli's most famous metaphor. A prince must be both, the fox to recognize traps, the lion to scare wolves. In conversation, Marcus became a shapeshifter. With the shy graphic designer named Priya, he played the fox, gentle questions that made her reveal her dreams, then subtle challenges that made her defend them. "I see you draw these beautiful worlds," he told her over coffee, "but you hide in the corner at parties. Why let the world miss what you're capable of?" She blushed, argued, then opened like a book. He never raised his voice. He simply made her feel seen and slightly exposed at the same time. By the 3rd date, she was initiating every kiss. With the dominant CEO, Victoria, the one who had turned down half the city, he unleashed the lion. She tried to control the conversation the way she ran boardrooms. Marcus let her for exactly 7 minutes, then cut in, voice low and steady. "You're used to winning, I get it, but right now you're fighting to stay in control, because the second you let go, you know you'll enjoy it more than you want to admit." She stared. No man had ever tripped the script on her. He didn't yell. He didn't insult. He simply refused to yield the frame. The lion had roared quietly. Victoria's pupils dilated. That night she told him, voice husky, "No one talks to me like that." Marcus only smiled. "Good. I don't want to be no one." He kept notes in a hidden journal, cross-referencing every move with the book. Principle 3. Fortune is a woman, and she must be beaten and struck if you want to keep her under. Not violence, never that. Boldness, impetuosity. When opportunity knocked, Marcus kicked the door down. He met Isabella, the travel influencer with 2 million followers at a rooftop bar during golden hour. She was surrounded by orbiters. Most men waited for an opening. Marcus created one. He walked straight up, ignored the others, and said, "Everyone here is waiting for you to notice them. I'm not. I'm here to notice what they're too scared to see." She laughed, intrigued. Within 10 minutes, he had her alone at the railing, wind in her hair, city glittering below. He told her a story pulled straight from Machiavelli's own exile, how the great thinker had lost everything, then clawed back power with nothing but words and timing. Isabella hung on every syllable. When she leaned in to kiss him, Marcus pulled back a fraction. "Not yet. You haven't earned it." Her eyes flashed with challenge and desire. Fortune had been seized. He learned the danger of overplaying kindness. Machiavelli had warned that mercy, when misplaced, invites betrayal. In seduction, endless validation was mercy. Marcus doled it out like a king granting favors, rare, valuable, remembered. With Elena, who had become a regular in his...
He weaponized timing like a Renaissance assassin. Machiavelli obsessed over the moment. Strike too early and you look desperate. Too late and opportunity vanishes. Marcus waited until conversations reached their emotional peak, then changed the subject or left. At a dinner with Sophia, he listened to her pour out childhood stories, eyes glistening. The second she finished, vulnerable and open, he glanced at his watch and said, "I have an early meeting, but I want to hear the rest another night." He paid the bill, kissed her forehead, and walked out. She called him the next morning before he even woke up. He mastered the art of the indirect challenge. Never criticism that wounded, only observations that made her mind race. With Priya, he said, "Your art is fearless. You sometimes aren't." She spent the next week proving him wrong in ways that brought her closer. With Victoria, he remarked, "You command rooms, but I wonder if anyone has ever commanded you." The lion again. She spent the night trying to prove no one could, then surrendered exactly as he predicted. As months stacked into a year, Marcus's reputation grew in whispers. Friends noticed women looking at him differently. Exes who had friend-zoned him suddenly wanted closure conversations that ended in hotel rooms. He never bragged. Bragging was weakness. Instead, he became quieter, more selective, which only increased the hunger around him. One night he sat alone with the book, underlining a passage he now lived. "A prince must have no other object nor thought, nor take anything as his profession but war, its institutions, and its discipline." In his war, the battlefield was the mind. The weapons were words, pauses, presence, withdrawal. He tested the ultimate principle on a woman named Amara, brilliant, guarded, a psychologist who analyzed everyone she met. She prided herself on seeing through games. Marcus walked into their first date knowing she would dissect him. He gave her nothing to grip. He mirrored her posture exactly, echoed her phrases subtly, asked questions that forced her to talk about herself while revealing zero of his own strategy. When she tried to psychoanalyze him, "You seem like someone who keeps control at all costs," he leaned forward, eyes dark, and replied, "And you seem like someone who's terrified of losing it for once." Checkmate. She had spent her career reading people. For the first time, someone read her better. By the third date, she admitted, voice shaking, "I can't figure you out, and I hate how much I love that." Marcus never lost the frame. Even in intimacy, he stayed sovereign. He would pull back at the peak of passion, whisper, "You think you have me, but you don't," then continue only when her eyes begged.
The domination was total because it was mental first. Bodies followed minds that had already surrendered. One quiet evening, rereading the final chapters by candlelight, Marcus realized the deepest truth Machiavelli never spelled out but lived every day. The prince who masters these laws doesn't just win battles, he rewires desire itself. Women didn't fall for him because he was handsome or rich or funny. They fell because he made them feel something no one else could. Seen, challenged, slightly afraid, utterly alive. He gave them the gift of losing control to a man who knew exactly how to wield it. He closed the book. His phone lit up with 3 new messages from 3 different women, each wondering where he was, each replaying his last words in their heads. Marcus didn't answer right away. He let the silence do its work, because that was the final, unspoken principle, the one that turns seduction into domination. The man who can walk away first every single time owns the game forever. You're still here, still listening, because you feel it now, the same pull those women felt, the same ancient machinery turning inside your chest. Machiavelli didn't write a pickup manual. He wrote a survival guide for power in a world that pretends to be civilized. And every principle he carved out of Florence's bloody streets works on the modern battlefield of attraction exactly as it did 500 years ago. Marcus became unstoppable, not because he memorized lines, but because he internalized the mindset. He stopped asking permission from the world and started taking the frame. He stopped seeking approval and started granting it sparingly. He stopped fearing rejection and started using it as fuel. And now, you know the blueprint. Next time you're across from her, any her, remember the fox, remember the lion, remember fortune is a woman who respects only the bold. Speak less, observe more, challenge gently, withdraw strategically. Appear invincible while staying adaptable. Give her the version of you she craves, then make her earn the rest. Do that, and her mind won't just open, it will belong to you. The story doesn't end here. Marcus is still out there, refining, testing, conquering, and every new conversation is another chapter waiting to be written by you. Because once you taste this power, you never go back to being ordinary. You become the prince, and the women, they become the kingdom that willingly kneels. Marcus sat alone in his dimly lit apartment, the leather-bound copy of The Prince open on the table beside a dog-eared paperback of Robert Greene's Art of Seduction. The city hummed outside his window, but his mind was thousands of miles and centuries away, back in the cutthroat courts of Renaissance Florence, then forward again to the sleek bars and rooftop parties where he had tested every lesson. He had started with Machiavelli because the old Florentine spoke raw truth about power. Appearances rule, fortune favors the bold, be both fox and lion, and never give too much, lest contempt breed contempt. Those principles had already transformed him from invisible nice guy to the man women chased. But after months of conquests, Marcus wanted more, precision. He wanted a map for the battlefield of desire itself, so he picked up Greene. The Art of Seduction felt like Machiavelli's younger, more theatrical cousin, same bloodline of cold-eyed realism about human nature, but dressed in velvet and perfume. Greene openly called seduction a form of power and manipulation, just as potent as ruling a kingdom. He broke it down into seductive characters you could embody and a step-by-step process that turned attraction into obsession. Where Machiavelli gave the prince a dagger for seizing and holding power, Greene handed the seducer an entire wardrobe of masks and a 4-phase campaign to make the target surrender willingly. Marcus flipped between the two books that night, comparing them like battle plans. Both saw people as driven by deep, often hidden needs: validation, excitement, escape from boredom, the thrill of danger. Both rejected naive romance for strategic psychology. But the flavor, the weapons, the end game, they diverged in ways that made Marcus smile with recognition. Machiavelli's seduction, the prince's quiet conquest. Machiavelli never wrote a seduction manual, yet his principles sliced straight to the heart of dominating minds. For him, talking to a woman or ruling a state was about controlling the frame. Appear strong, insightful, slightly dangerous. Let her see what you want her to see, a man who understands her without needing her approval. Speak less, challenge more. Use scarcity like a weapon. Give attention, then withdraw it to create hunger. Strike boldly when the moment ripens, like Fortune, that fickle woman who yields to the impetuous rather than the timid. Be the fox to spot traps and the lion to command respect. Never flood her with validation, dole it out sparingly, so it feels like royal favor. The goal wasn't mutual bliss in the moment, it was long-term mental dominion. She thinks about you when you're gone. She fears losing your respect. She bends because resisting feels riskier than surrendering.
In practice, Marcus lived this with Elena and Victoria. Short, piercing observations that made them defend themselves to him. Calculated silences, walking away first. The quiet power of maybe instead of eager yes. It felt ruthless but clean, like a prince securing a city without unnecessary bloodshed. No elaborate performances, just iron will wrapped in calm confidence. Greene's Seduction, the seducer's theatrical spell. Greene expanded the playbook into something more cinematic. Seduction, he argued, is psychological warfare waged through pleasure, confusion, and fantasy. He outlined 9 seductive archetypes you could adopt or blend: the siren, overt sensual mystery with a hint of innocence; the rake, bold, passionate pursuer who makes her feel irresistibly desired; the ideal lover, who mirrors her deepest unspoken fantasies; the dandy, androgynous, aesthetic flair; the natural, playful, uncalculated charm; the coquette, hot and cold tease who creates frustration and pursuit; the charmer, makes her feel uniquely special; the charismatic, larger-than-life energy; and the star, distant, glittering allure. Then came the 24 techniques organized into 4 phases. Separation, stir interest and desire. Choose the right victim, someone with gaps you can fill, boredom, unmet dreams. Send mixed signals, create a false sense of security, make insinuations, enter her spirit, mirror her moods subtly, stir curiosity without revealing everything. Lead astray, create pleasure and confusion, keep her in suspense, what comes next. Use words to sow delightful confusion. Focus on sensory details. Show calculated vulnerability to deepen emotional hooks. Isolate her from her normal world. The precipice, deepen the effect. Prove yourself through bold, seemingly selfless acts. Heighten tension to the breaking point. Make her feel the danger and thrill simultaneously. The kill, seal the seduction. Give her space so she pursues you. Stir jealousy subtly. Create a moment of total surrender. Then, the spell is cast. Greene drew from history's greatest seducers, Cleopatra, Casanova, JFK, and turned seduction into performance art. Desire grows in absence and mystery. The seducer pleasures the target's ego, senses, and imagination until resistance melts. It's less about raw power and more about weaving an emotional web so enchanting she walks into it herself. Marcus tested Greene's archetypes in the field. With the artist, Sophia, he played a blend of rake and ideal lover. Passionate pursuit mixed with deep understanding of her creative soul. It worked beautifully. She opened faster, felt more swept away. With the guarded psychologist, Amara, he leaned into coquette energy, hot attention followed by cool distance, which drove her analytical mind into delightful chaos. The phases gave him a clearer roadmap than Machiavelli's broader strokes. First, intrigue her world, then confuse and pleasure, then push emotional extremes, finally let her chase. Where they overlap, the shared DNA of power. Both men were realists who saw through romantic illusions. People crave what they can't easily have. Validation is currency, spend it wisely. Mystery and unpredictability keep minds hooked. Deception or strategic appearance beats blunt honesty when the goal is influence. Both warned against the anti-seducer, the needy, moralizing, predictable type who repels rather than attracts. Marcus recognized his old self in Greene's anti-seducer, too eager, too validating, too safe. Fortune as a woman echoed in both. Boldness wins. Greene's prove yourself and bold deeds mirrored Machiavelli's impetuous strike. Scarcity appeared in Greene's give them space to fall, the pursuer is pursued. Mental domination was central to both, make her think about you constantly. Where they diverge, dagger versus velvet. Machiavelli feels colder, more princely. His seduction is about maintaining sovereignty and long-term control. You lead the frame relentlessly. Fear of loss and respect for your strength matter as much as desire. It's efficient for men who want quiet dominance without constant performance. Less theater, more iron core. You don't become someone else, you project an unbreakable version of yourself. Greene is richer in emotional texture and variety. Its seduction is grand opera. Archetypes let you adapt your persona to her specific weaknesses. The process is phased and theatrical, emphasizing pleasure, fantasy, and sensory immersion over raw power plays. It can feel more collaborative. She enjoys the ride, even while you're steering. But it demands more energy, constant calibration, performance, and creativity. Where Machiavelli risks coming across as aloof or harsh if overdone, Greene risks seeming manipulative or inauthentic if the performance slips. Machiavelli suits the man who wants to own her thoughts even after the passion fades. Greene excels at creating intense, memorable emotional highs that make her associate you with excitement and escape. One is conquest through disciplined presence and withdrawal. The other is conquest through orchestrated delight and confusion. Marcus is synthesis, the ultimate edge. That night, Marcus closed both books and leaned back. He didn't have to choose, he fused them. For Machiavelli, he kept the unbreakable frame, never chase, always lead, appear masterful, use scarcity and bold timing, let her fear losing your respect as much as she craves your attention. The lion and fox stayed his foundation. From Greene he borrowed the wardrobe and the map, read her type, bored executive, use charmer plus ideal lover, fiery artist, rake with coquette spice. Follow the phases loosely, stir interest with piercing observation, create pleasurable confusion with unpredictable texts and stories, deepen with vulnerability mixed with challenge, then give space so she pursues. Add sensory details Machiavelli never mentioned, the right lighting, the perfect pause, the story that paints fantasy. In his next encounters, the hybrid became lethal. With a new woman, a sharp, ambitious consultant, Zara, he opened Machiavellian. You look like someone who wins every room, yet still hungers for a conversation that actually challenges you. Frame control and insight. Then he layered Greene, mixed signals, deep eye contact, followed by sudden shift to light teasing, kept suspense, ended one call mid-story, used words to paint a shared fantasy of adventure she secretly craved. When tension peaked, he withdrew slightly, creating the Coquette effect, then struck boldly with a decisive invitation that felt inevitable. Zara didn't just reply, she initiated. She replayed his words. She felt both dominated in the best way and delightfully swept along. Marcus realized the truth. Machiavelli gives you the spine and the sword. Greene gives you the wardrobe, the choreography, and the psychology of pleasure. Together, they don't just help you talk to women, they let you rewrite the script inside her mind. You, listening right now, imagine stepping into the next conversation carrying both. The quiet, unflappable power of the prince, the adaptive, pleasurable spell of the master seducer. No more guessing, no more hoping she likes you. Instead, you choose the archetype that fits her, follow the invisible phases, hold the frame like forged steel, and watch her eyes change as her thoughts begin orbiting you. The old Florentine and the modern strategist weren't rivals. They were complementary generals in the same war, the war for influence over desire. Marcus smiled into the darkness, phone already buzzing with a new message from Zara. Still thinking about what you said. He waited before replying, Let the silence work its ancient magic. Because now, he wasn't just using one book, he was wielding both, and the game was never more winnable. The story continues, because once you see how these two minds complete each other, every future conversation becomes a new campaign. You stop reacting, you start orchestrating, and she never quite figures out why she can't stop thinking about the man who made her feel so powerfully, so strategically alive. Your move is next. Blend the dagger with the velvet. Hold the frame while painting the fantasy. Become the prince who seduces like an artist. Watch what happens when her mind doesn't just open, it surrenders.